Said that a thank you, to say thank you in a few kind words takes a very short time, but those words have echoes that are timeless. And someone said that there's always something to be thankful for. For example, if you can't pay your bills, be thankful that you're not one of the creditors. In this week's parsha, we have an interesting story. The 10 plagues begin. And the first plague we know is the plague of blood. And Hashem tells Moshe, tell your brother Aaron to stretch out his hand over the Nile, and the waters will turn to blood. And so Rashi asked the question, why is Hashem telling Moshe to tell Aaron? Aaron was only supposed to be the spokesperson. Why is he implementing this plague? Why doesn't Moshe put his hand out over the Nile and turn the waters into blood? And Rashi gives a fascinating answer. The answer is that when Moshe was a baby, how was his life saved? He was put in a basket by his mother and placed in the Nile River. And the river kept him afloat and saved his life. Then the daughter of Paro came and rescued him. And therefore Moshe Rabbeinu had an eternal debt of gratitude to the Nile. And therefore he could not be the one to turn the waters of the Nile into blood, because that would be ungrateful of him to those very same waters that saved his life. And the question is, waters don't have any feelings. Waters don't have any sensitivity. What is the idea that you're supposed to be thankful to the water? It's one thing to be thankful to a person, to remember their goodness and always be grateful when someone did a kindness to you. But why do you have to be kind to water? And it's interesting, we find the same thing on Shabbat. Every Friday night in Shabbos when we make Kiddush, the tradition and the custom, of course, is that we cover the challah. Why do we always cover the challah before we make Kiddush? Because according to Jewish law, there are two options for making Kiddush. You could either make it on wine, or you could make the Kiddush over the challah. Now, in a case where someone doesn't have wine, you may have experienced this, where there's no wine available, you actually make Kiddush, the same declaration of the sanctification of the day, Yom HaShishi V'Chol HaShemayim. Instead of saying Borei Pri HaGafen at the end, you say Hamotzi Lachem Ha'aretz, and you eat the challah. So you're allowed to make Kiddush over challah. However, it's preferable to make Kiddush over wine. So here's the reason we cover our challah. We don't want the challah to see that we're making Kiddush over the wine. We don't want to embarrass and shame the challah that we chose the wine over it. So we cover it so the challah shouldn't see. And the question is, what? Challah see? Challah can't see. And again, it's not about the challah seeing, and it's not about the water being offended that Moshe turned it into blood. It's about us learning to be sensitive human beings who are always grateful and never embarrass another person. And therefore, when we cover the challah every Friday or Shabbos, and when Moshe doesn't hit the water, he's teaching a lesson that we have to be people who are always grateful for those who do kindness to us and never cause shame to another human being. Because if we don't cause shame to a challah, surely we shouldn't cause shame. We should be sensitive to another human being. So this famous story told about Yisrael Salanter, who was once coming to be a guest in a certain Jew's house. And the Jew was very excited. He was going to have this great rabbi as his guest. So he told his wife, this week we're having the great Rabbi Yisrael Salanter as a guest Friday night. Make sure we do a real great Shabbos dinner to really honor our beautiful guest. The wife was running, before Shabbos, a lot of things to do. She got the table set. She made sure everything was clean and prepared a wonderful meal, worked very hard. But when the rabbi came in, the table was set, but she didn't get around to covering the challah. And the man was embarrassed. I bring home this very important rabbi. My wife doesn't cover the challah. Everyone knows the challah has to be covered on the Shabbos table. She goes into the kitchen and he starts berating his wife. I told you this is an important guest. The house has to be in good order. And you embarrass me by not covering the challah. Rabbi Yisrael Salant is in the living room. He hears the way he's yelling at his wife. And when he comes back in, he says, I don't understand. He says, the whole reason we cover the challah is not to shame the challah when we make Kiddush on the wine. And what did you do? You just shamed your wife for not covering the challah. You missed the whole message of covering the challah. The covering the challah is not for the challah's sake, it's for our sake. When we see the cover on the challah every Shabbos, we should remind ourselves, if this is the way we have to treat a challah that doesn't have a heart and doesn't have a mind and doesn't have feelings, surely we should be sensitive and caring, never to cause shame or hurt or insult to a fellow human being.